Now we will be going through a workflow. Workflow is nothing but, step by step, set of activities which are performed whenever a particular item or a service is ordered. Okay. For example, if you go to Microsoft, or let's say you go for Amazon, wherein you order some mobile phone, what happens? The moment you order a mobile phone, you get a your request number. You get, after that request number, it will show some sort of transition like this. Usually this type, even it will show in your Microsoft, sorry, Amazon also, wherein it will show up where it is like tracking hub. It will show like it has reached to your facility. Yeah, item is out for delivery. So that is nothing but a workflow which is getting associated to that particular catalog item on Amazon. Same thing we are going to do it here. That is nothing but a workflow in technical terms of service. Okay, so we are going to define that workflow within ServiceNow for each catalog item. And as I told, right, each the request number will have a generic workflow, but whereas each item will have their own specific workflow, which means they might have certain approval, they might not have. They might create one task, they might create 10 tasks, they might create no task also. So because the each item is different from one another, so they will have their specific workflow, and based on the workflow, different set of activities we can see. Okay. Okay, so as I told you guys earlier, right? So workflow is nothing but a step-by-step activity which will be specifically tied to a particular catalog item. Whenever you are requesting something, right? There will be set of activities which will be performed whenever we are ordering that particular item. Like we have seen on Amazon and Myntra, Flipkart, right? All these shopping sites. So let's deep dive a little bit more. What does workflow will have? So workflow it's majorly divided into two components: workflow editor and workflow engine. So workflow editor, wherein you will be able to create your new workflows. Okay. And workflow engine will be the thing which will be processing that. Okay. The workflow engine is a part of Glide script engine and is invoked when record is inserted, updated, or cancel of a Glide record. Because of this, each workflow can be configured to run based on condition. This is similar to how this is ruled when to run. So you can write a certain condition in the workflow when this particular workflow will be getting attached, to which catalog item it will be getting attached, right? All that you can write the condition, and workflow will engine will get triggered for those particular workflow. Workflow editor is a part wherein you will be dragging, dropping the activities, and eventually your uh, workflow you can create those workflows. So let's create one simple workflow in order to trigger some approval. So in order to go to workflow, what you have to do, you have to type something called workflow. And under workflows, you have something called workflow editor. The moment you click on this workflow editor, you see a lot of workflows which are already there in the system. Okay, you can refer those or you can create your own workflow as well. One important thing I wanted to say with respect to maintain item or your catalog item configuration, because these are fields, right, on your form. Catalog items are different fields, right, which we are creating. The same thing which we did, like making field mandatory, non-mandatory, everything you can do it via your catalog item, catalog client script. So if you go to catalog items, the related list, you'll see a lot of things are available here. Variables, I already told you can create variables which will be available on your catalog item variable set. You can group couple of variables which you can try to reuse. You can group them and you can create a variable set, and then you can write a catalog UI policy. Again, it is similar to your regular UI policy. Only thing is it will be tied to a specific catalog item. Remember, UI policy used to create on incident form. Here it will be to a specific catalog item. If I create UI policy, it will be specific to this catalog item. And then we have something called catalog client script, which will be like on load, on change, everything is there here. Okay. Then we have something called two new things: available for, not available for. For example, there are certain catalog item. I don't want it to be available to certain specific user. I will select those list of users here, or I can mention the group also, that this particular group should not see this particular catalog item based on location, company, department, all of this. I can make sure that that particular catalog item is available or if it is not available, I have to create a record there. For example, let's say I created the student registration. I don't want this particular catalog item to be available for people outside India. So what I will do, I will go ahead and I'll click new and I'll put like location, let's say where country is out other than India, it should not be available. As simple as that. Okay. Or if I want this particular catalog item to be available to a specific group, I can select that. Okay. This categories we have done above itself. So you are selecting your catalogs and categories. You can create new categories. We saw right when you type catalog item, uh, uh, service catalog. So you have something called maintain categories also. If you type service catalog, you see right maintain catalog, maintain categories. So you can create categories also. You can create certain lookups. This is little advanced of catalog. Okay. And related catalog item. Let's say this is related to, let's say you are raising account services, right? That is related to some Outlook services. So you can relate those catalog item here. Okay. So all these things are there. And one more important thing which you will be using is, related articles. Let's say how you are requesting something for account setup, right? And if there is any knowledge article or articles which are available, nothing knowledge article, but there is some guidance or steps which are already defined. You can link those articles here. So whenever people will be raising this request, those articles will be visible. Let me try to see if I can add up something. So let's say this is some random article I'm selecting. It is related to email depression disruption. If I go to I go and search for register. You see at the bottom there is some article coming up. So relevant to this catalog item, I can select that article, and user will, the moment they click right, they will be able to read that article. Okay, whatever it is. So I can add articles also, like kind of help or documentation I can provide for the that particular catalog item. It can be related to services, it can be related to products. Okay, so all that I can do within catalog items. So we were on workflows. So as I told, right, in order to access workflow, you have to just type workflow here, and then you can go ahead and look for something called workflow editor. The moment you look for workflow editor, this type of screen will come up. It will show all the list of published means list of all the workflows which are available and active within system. You can use them, or you can create your own workflow as well by clicking on new workflow. Okay, there are two major components. First is like this part is called canvas, wherein you will be creating the moment you click new, right? So let me put some name here. Approval, I can give any name here. Approval 10, approval workflow. Workflow is very vast topic, guys. Okay, it is not a simple topic, and it is very vast, and it is used almost everywhere. So I will run, as I told, right, each workflow will run on requested item, a specific workflow. So I am creating for myself, I'm selecting a specific item, requested item table. Okay, and I will leave remaining field as it is, and I'll do submit. The moment I do submit, this type of screen will load up, which will have begin and end. You see, right? This is nothing but your workflow canvas. Okay. Now, in order to make sure I have to define that step, I'll have to basically go to the score part, wherein I get this list of activities which are core activities from ServiceNow being provided to us. Okay. First of one of them is called approvals. So I can select approval. So if I wanted to trigger approval to a group, I can select this activity and drag and drop, right? I can do like that. Or if I am selecting something related to approval user, I can drag and drop that activity. So ServiceNow provides core activity. One of the activities is called approvals activity, which we can utilize in order to create work. Then we have something called conditional activity. Let's say I want to write certain condition, if price is greater than $3,000, then only trigger the approval. I can write that type. And then switch condition block is there. I want to wait for certain condition. If my what to say approval is approved, then only create the task. I can use this. Okay. And then like we have notification in system. Similarly, we have notification. We can create event here, or we can directly create notifications also. Okay. Then most use will be task, which will be creating as catalog task. Okay. These are different set of activities. The entire documentation is already present on ServiceNow docs. You can go through that, and some of them I have already covered in our slides also. So you can go through that and let me know if you have any doubt with respect to this. Okay. And if you see there is timer, you want to put like after 5 minutes only approval should go of request being raised. You can put the timer, and then you have utilities wherein you can run script. You can write the script. You can lock it, or you can log messages. You can return some value. So these are how your complex your workflow will be. These are components will be used. So in our case, it is a very basic one wherein I want to trigger approval to users manager. Whoever is raising the request, I want to trigger approval to that particular person. So because it is single approval, one-on-one approval, I want to trigger approval to my manager. I'm using approval user. Let's say I have to trigger it for a group of people. I'll select the above activity. So I'll put like manager approval. I can select the stage here. Whatever stage I'll select, it will reflect on my waiting for approval. Okay, whose approval? Now I have to I have this option of user. Okay, wherein I can select specific user, it will go to that approval, or I can do something like or I can select group also, or I can write a advanced condition wherein I can put, let's say I have some requested for, so I will have to put current. Here you can use current and previous. Remember we had something called current and previous in business rule. Same thing you can use here, but here only current is available. Current dot variables. This is syntax. Variables dot variable name. So in my variable here, I have not selected any lookup icon. So for me, it will be little difficult to go ahead and create that catalog task. What I can do, maybe I'll have to go for this current dot requested for. For I want to trigger to his manager, so I will put dot manager. Okay, so I have to put something like I have to define in this method. Okay, this way I have to define. So I'll have to put like where answer equal to array. It will accept only array. This is format, so you will not be able to do much here. You have to do same thing, something like this, and this whatever value you are passing. You have to pass. Okay, because it is not a variable, you have to put something like current dot that. Okay, so ideally approval will be triggered to whoever is the requested for. If he has any manager, it should be getting triggered to that particular person. You see, I have any manager for this profile. Manager, I will add it here.
ஓகே. அந்த சைடும் ஓகே. மேடவாக்கம் அது மேடவாக்கம்னா அந்த ஈஸியா இருந்தது. ஓஎம்ஆருக்கு முன்னாடி அங்கேயும்
Okay, I do something like this and try to put manager field here itself in the list field. We don't have any managers, so I'll put somebody here. If it doesn't have that value, right, it will not trigger simple, because if that value itself is blank, it will not trigger. So once what will happen, this workflow will run. Okay, it will come here, it will check for a manager. If it is approved, it will go to end. If it is error, I can define what I want to do. Maybe I can, create some I can cancel the R18, something like that. For that, I will have to select this set value. So I want to set some value. I can set the state to say close it complete. Work note I want to put rejected. So if she is rejecting, it should come here, and once this is updated, we will be ending. So it is like just a drag and drop. So these lines you see, right? These are nothing but transition line, and these boxes are your activities. Okay, you can select these based upon your customer requirement. It can go as complex also. I'll show you a couple of out of the box workflow. Let's try to put it for our catalog. So we have created our workflow as approval workflow. Okay. We'll have to go to maintain item. If everything is correct, then ideally approval will be triggered. If not, then we might have to look for error. So we'll go here and we'll have to update the approval. Now I will, if I put see approval workflow, I came and to save it. Now I'll click on write. So this is another way. This is another backend way, which is not available for all the user, but user with some good rights, like they have ITL role and all. They can come up here. So if I put test one email, you see this and all field is not like these field do not have validation. So all these validation you can build up when you are by your catalog client script and your policy, something I'm putting here. So I do order now. I'll get a request number. Under request, if you see this request will have show workflow, it will have a generic one, service catalog request. This is a generic one which gets attached to each catalog item. So you see, right? This is not the one which we have created, generic one. But if I go ahead and click on my catalog item, right? You see, this is my catalog item. These are the values which I have provided, test 1, 2, 3. And if I click on show workflow, you see this is the workflow which I have created, right? Approval workflow, and it is waiting for some approval. If I go ahead and you see, I selected this request was raised for user as system admin, and able tutor is the manager of that particular profile which we raised. Approval is triggered. If he is approving the request, like if he goes and approve the request, it will go ahead and close the request. If he is not approving and rejecting, let's say I want to put something like I rejected, what will happen? Workflow will update here. You see, manager rejected the request. And if I go back and just refresh this workflow, you see it got rejected and workflow is ended. And even my state got updated to close incomplete. I've not taken stage, I could have marked it as rejected. I can do that also in my workflow. I'll have to, one more important thing, whenever you are creating workflow, in order to make that workflow capture within update set, this is interview question. If you want to capture workflow within your update set, you have to publish the workflow. Workflow is into two states. First is checkout. Checkout is when you are making changes on the workflow, and publish is when you have made all the changes and you are publishing your workflow. Okay, so I have checked it out. If you see it at top, it shows like checked out by, which means this workflow is now I am editing on this workflow, but in this time, let's say Uganda log into the system and raises another request, the workflow will not work. It will work, but it will take the previous workflow version, not the latest one. So let's say I set up this incomplete right here. I want to set stage also. Stage, it was showing waiting for approval. I want to set something like rejected is not good. Request cancel, something like this. I want to update. So what will happen whenever the he will be rejecting it, manager will be rejecting, this will get updated to state rejected. Okay, so this is all about workflow plus catalog item. We have covered the catalog item and how we can associate catalog item to our workflow.